Have you ever wondered why people don't live in New Mexico? It might seem odd that such a large and beautiful state is so sparsely populated, but there are some compelling reasons for it. In this video, we'll take an in-depth look at why nobody lives in New Mexico, despite its attractive landscape and rich culture. We'll explore the economic struggles of the area, the harsh environment and climates, as well as some of the social consequences due to its geographical location. So come along with us and unravel the mystery of why so few people have decided to call the land of enchantment home. But before we hop into the video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. An analysis of all 50 states has found that New Mexico comes up short. A Wallet Hub study compared the states on 52 indicators of livability and determined that New Mexico ranks 50th as 2021's worst state to live in. New Mexico performed poorly in several categories, including the highest percentage of population living in poverty, lowest income growth, the lowest population aged 25 and older with a high school diploma or higher, and had the highest crime rate. The political climate and its impact on New Mexicans. The political climate in New Mexico has wide-reaching implications for its citizens. From national regulations on pollution to statewide initiatives on infrastructure, how residents and lawmakers alike conduct affairs affects the lives of all within its borders. So, what are the political problems, you ask? Well, there's a growing divide between the state's democratic power structure and conservative rural residents who feel their way of life is under attack. In the state's vast rural stretches, frustration over voting and political representation has been building for years. Residents have felt marginalized and overrun by government decisions that have placed limits on livelihoods, curtailing access to water for livestock, shrinking the amount of forest land available for grazing, or halting timber operations and energy developments due to the endangered species concerns. There's also unfavorable weather conditions. All 33 counties in New Mexico experience severe thunderstorms, producing high winds, large hail, deadly lightning, and heavy rain throughout the year. During the spring, from April through June, storms are at a peak, mainly in the eastern areas of the state. Then there's a lack of job opportunities. Recent reports have painted a worrying picture of the labor market. Job openings are at their lowest in 16 years. With hundreds of thousands of job seekers competing for the same few jobs, this news has had a devastating economic and social impact. Many young people can no longer find employment, contributing to widening gaps of income, poverty, and inequality. Businesses are also under strain, unable to satisfy growing demand due to limiting resources. Even those already employed may have to think twice as it becomes more difficult to feel secure in one's job. New Mexico also deals with poor infrastructure. Unfortunately, New Mexico has a significant problem with its infrastructure and roads. Many areas are difficult to traverse and do not function as they should. There's also issues with education in New Mexico. New Mexico is in an area that faces some unique challenges when it comes to providing access to education for students. In the 2021 through 2022 school year, nearly 70% of students were considered economically disadvantaged, meaning they struggled to secure basic needs such as food and housing. This has a direct impact on how well these students are able to keep up in the classroom. There was also a large achievement gap between rural and urban areas that same year, with only 36% of rural 8th graders meeting or exceeding proficiency standards for subjects. To help close this gap and make sure every student can get a quality education, regardless of background or location, educators across New Mexico are trying to think of creative solutions such as virtual tutoring or shifting resources from more populous areas into rural regions. There's also a huge crime rate problem. New Mexico has one of the highest crime rates in the United States, particularly in violent crime. The state's violent crime rate is consistently above the national average and ranks among the highest in the country. Factors contributing to high crime rate include poverty, drug trafficking, gang activity, and a lack of resources for law enforcement. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, in 2019, New Mexico's violent crime rate was 919 incidents per 100,000 residents compared to the national average of 367 incidents per 100,000. The state's property crime rate was also higher than the national average at 3,500 incidents per 100,000 residents compared to the national average of 2,100. While efforts have been made to address the state's high crime rate, including initiatives to reduce poverty and increase resources for law enforcement, the problem still persists. It remains a significant challenge for policymakers, law enforcement officials, and the community as a whole to find effective solutions to reduce crime and make New Mexico a safer place to live. Then there's the issue with poverty. New Mexico has one of the highest poverty rates in the United States. The state's poverty rate consistently ranks among the highest in the country, with over 1/5 of its population living below the poverty line. Factors contributing to the high poverty rate include a lack of economic opportunity, low educational attainment, and a high cost of living. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, in 2019, the poverty rate in New Mexico was 19.2% compared to the national average of 10.5%. The state also has a high rate of child poverty, with over 1/3 of children living in poverty. New Mexico also has a huge drug problem. New Mexico has a significant drug problem, particularly with opioids and methamphetamine. The state's drug overdose death rate is among the highest in the country, and drug-related crime is a major issue. Factors contributing to the drug problem include the lack of access to healthcare, poverty, and drug trafficking. According to the New Mexico Department of Health, in 2020, there was 1,300 drug overdose deaths in the state, an increase of 29% from the previous year. Opioids were involved in 80% of these deaths, with fentanyl being the most commonly involved drug. Methamphetamine use is also a significant problem, with the state having one of the highest rates of methamphetamine-related deaths in the country. In conclusion, the state of New Mexico is a complex one, from the issues with its politics and unfavorable weather to its poverty and lack of job opportunities. It's no secret that the state faces many challenges. On top of this, the state's high cost of living, coupled with shortcomings in both education and healthcare services, further complicates matters. Ultimately, something must be done to address all these issues in order to facilitate change. Well guys, that marks the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel, drop a comment below, and like the video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.